Hey you guys, this is Mrs. Collette, and today we are going to be writing introductions. Now, I know a lot of you have been confused because we haven't written our introductions yet, and now we've written every other paragraph in our essays. But I always recommend writing our introductions last. Um, you might ask yourself, why would you do that? Doesn't it come first? Yes, but the reason is because you need to really know your own argument and what you're going to say before you can write your introduction, because your introduction's job is to get your reader ready to listen to your argument. Okay? So think about, I don't know if you've seen the movie Aladdin. You probably have, at least the new one. The scene Friend Like Me, where Genie sings the song about all the great things he can do. This is an introduction. He's trying to help Aladdin to see why Aladdin should take him seriously. Because at the first moment where they meet each other, Aladdin's like, whatever, I don't need you. What are you even here for? And Aladdin is unimpressed. So Genie sings this whole song and shows him all of this cool magic that he's not actually, like, this isn't really what he's going to do for Aladdin, but he's showing Aladdin what he can do. He's showing Aladdin the implications of what's happening here, and he's trying to convince Aladdin to pay attention and to care. And that's exactly what you do with an introduction. You are laying before your reader the most important points in a very basic form, and you're catching their attention. You're trying to get them ready to listen to you. So, another way to think of an introduction, especially if you've never seen Aladdin, is like a job interview, or if you're introducing someone to another person, like say you have a new friend and you're worried that your parents won't like them, and you're trying to introduce them to your parents so that your parents will have a good opinion of them. Or maybe you want your friend to think your parents are really cool, so you're going to introduce your parents in a way that's going to reflect well on them in the eyes of your friend. So, in a job interview, which you guys have never done, but one day you will, you're going to have to present yourself very briefly to the other person and tell them all your skills and catch their attention so that they remember you when they're thinking about all the 50 people that they interviewed and say, huh, maybe we should talk to this person again. The introduction's job is to make them want to keep reading, even if they disagree with you initially. So they might say, I don't really agree with their position on this particular subject, but I'm willing to listen to them. So a good introduction grabs their attention. It makes them want to listen. It addresses the reader, not necessarily directly. You don't have to say, and in fact, you shouldn't say, in this paper, I will. Don't say that. That sounds weird. Instead, try to get them invested. Make them feel like you're talking to them, even if you don't talk to them directly. Make them feel like they're being addressed specifically. So, not just humans in general, but why should they specifically, why should your reader, your audience, care about what you have to say? And then show them, why does it matter to them? Why does this impact them? And then outline your argument very briefly. This is frequently called a thesis statement, right? Your thesis statement is one or two sentences that tell your reader exactly what you're going to argue without using the words, I'm going to argue this. You just state it as a fact. You should vote for this because, right? It's what you're going to argue in your paper. Normally, we put it at the end of our introduction. In truth, it can go a lot of places, but the end of our introduction is frequently where we'll put it. So let's practice writing an introduction. I've gone into my essay, which has one fewer paragraph than yours because I didn't need to show you how to make a body paragraph twice, and I'm going back and forth about my opinion, so this introduction is going to be in favor of co-ed sports since my conclusion was against co-ed sports. Remember, you're not going back and forth about your opinion. You're picking one side, but I'm going back and forth so I don't give one side an unfair advantage. So first, this is a letter. This is a letter that I'm pretending to write to a Utah state legislator. So I'm going to address it like it's a letter, but this person isn't dear to me. They're not a friend, so I feel weird about saying dear. So instead, I'm just going to have their name. Representative Peterson. I looked up a representative. Representative Peterson is a real person. He is from Utah County, so I'm golden. There are lots of representatives from Utah County. Don't pick Representative Peterson. I already looked him up. Okay, so Representative Peterson. It's my letter. There is a new law being debated in the Utah State Legislature that is much more important than it seems. This is my hook. This is how I'm grabbing his attention. It's not like the best hook in the whole world. You could do anything. You could have an interesting fact. You could talk about why sports are so important. You could do a lot of things. This is my attention getter. There's a new law being debated in the Utah State Legislature that is much more important than it seems. Here, I'm going to move on to explain why it's important. I'm addressing my reader first. You've probably heard about the new law that would combine boys and girls sports teams, and you may have thought that it doesn't affect you, but that is not true. See, in this sentence, I am calling out my reader. And maybe he does think it's important, but here I'm trying to help him see that this affects him so that he knows that my letter is written to him without saying, pay attention, slap him across the face, pay attention, this is to you. I'm trying to help him see that it's beneficial to him, right? I don't play sports, I say, but I care about whether or not this law passes. So here I'm putting myself on his side. I'm assuming that he at least doesn't play children's sports, so this law wouldn't affect him directly. But I, as a person who doesn't really play sports, also care. So I'm putting myself on his side. I'm showing him that he should care. The truth is, sports teach kids a lot of really important lessons and they affect how we treat each other. Here, I'm showing why he should care. I'm showing why this matters in a big sense. Our community will be much better off if girls and boys play together. Now, this is me bridging the gap between this is important and you should pay attention, which was this bit, and what is my position, right? So here I'm first hinting at what do I believe, what is my side on this, and also trying to help him see why it applies to him. Our community will be much better off, right? I'm finding common ground, talking about our community, and I'm showing him that this is his responsibility. He's here to protect our community and make it a better place, so I'm trying to show him that this is his responsibility. If it would be best for you to vote in favor of the new law because when girls and boys play together, they treat each other better, they develop healthier relationships, and they save money that their schools can use for education. So these are my reasons. You might only have two reasons, or you might say, so you have a counter argument. So you might say, even though blank, so I might say, even though they might cost a little bit more money, you should vote in favor of this new law because when boys and girls play together, they treat each other better and they develop healthier relationships, right? Or I could say, even though, let's see, I've got this. Even though boys and girls playing together might make sports less competitive, you should vote for this law because when girls and boys play together, they develop healthier relationships and they save money that their schools could use for education. So I'm making as persuasive a point as I can. I'm even bringing up my counter argument in this thesis, right? You don't necessarily have to do that. You could just list the best reasons. It kind of depends on what the best points in your paper are. So look through your paper and think, what's the most persuasive thing about my paper? What should I emphasize in my introduction? What is my "you've never had a friend like me" moment that I can show off in this introduction and get them hooked into what I have to say? What are my most persuasive points that they're going to care about when they read them in my introduction? So your responsibility today is to write an introduction. You should have a clear statement of what you want your person to do and why. You should have some sort of attention getter. You should address your audience and make them feel like you're talking to them. And remember that your audience is a Utah State legislator, not a 6th grade kid. Okay? Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.